Well, as far as the line coach told us about, King just can't seem to shake it. So how's it holding up so far?
Yeah, right now we've got some battles going on. At center, Landon's done a great job. He's kind of anchoring that. Cooper does a nice job fighting day in, day out. But Landon's such a good leader and all those things. I think he's really established himself, not only on the line, but I think on the entire team, from what I can gather, as far as being a leader and all those things. AJ's a staple that AJ Gilly is a staple in there that's doing a great job. Consistent, tough leader. If you're making linemen, those are the types of those guys have the grit and all the intangibles that you would want on top of being good football players. Jax Harrington is another one that's having a great spring and doing some good things. Great things for us and is a great leader, knowledgeable, fun to have. All three of those guys are great to have in a meeting room from my perspective because, being the guy coming in, you're learning what they've done in the past. Obviously, we're making some adjustments, not wholesale changes by no stretch of the imagination, but just, some adjustments here and there. And they're a great group, great resource for me to come in and, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. How does this fit into the way you think and all those things? So it's been a fun group from that standpoint. And then George Jackson's doing a great job at right tackle. Consistent, showing up every day, playing. He's so quick twitched. He's wired up. He's a powerful tackle, which, sometimes you give up for the athleticism that you want on the edge. Sometimes you give up some power and some physicality. And George has really kind of been the complete package from that standpoint. Has been consistent all spring. And then you go to the left tackle spot, obviously losing Nate from last year. We got big shoes to fill. And speaking of big shoes, we got Bryant Williams, size 20 shoes. And Bryant and Quentin Williams are kind of battling it out over there at left tackle and kind of, rotating them by groups. And frankly, they both have done a lot of great things to show you, hey, okay, they can handle it. The problem has been, and it's a good problem, is the other one's been right there competing back and forth. So it's been a good battle. And I think, however it shakes out, both of them are going to play a lot of football.
I know you're the offensive line coach, but is that like, not that you're deciding anything in the spring, but is that like the biggest battle that's going on the whole team right now?
Oh, I can't speak for the whole team because I don't, just practice 7. I can't speak to the back end and on defense and a few things like that. I don't want to speak for coach in that regard, but I would think that's a big battle that's going on, and they're doing a good job. And then we got the young guys. I mean, I already spoke of Cooper, but John Bragg has shown flashes. I tell you, a guy who I'd be remiss to not mention is Caden Morrow. He's a guy who's played some. He's playing like a starter right now, and and he just happens to be in there. He's an interior guy, and so he's got 3 guys in there that are really talented and have great experience. But I'm really, really proud of the way Caden has just grown, and he's kind of coming out. I want to say a shell. It's not fair for me to say that because he might have been before I got here. He was a really quiet young man when I got here. Actually recruited him out of high school when I was at University of Tulsa. And so I've known him for a while, but, he's a guy who's, I think, coming out of his shell and being a little more vocal and all those, creating those traits that you want to see from your guys up front. And so very pleased with him. It's a fun group to work with.
So I know, offensive line coaches need they want their players to be versatile, but I've also known offensive line coaches that make sure everybody can snap the ball because you just never know. How much do you?
Yeah, I've been a big cross-train guy. I haven't done that as much this spring. A little bit of it has just been, the daily injuries here and there. Nothing's been major, but it's just, about the day you're trying to make the rotation, it's like, oh, shoot, because we 2-spot so many drills, we just haven't been able to move some guys around. I think it's important, and we do it all off season. We'll do it all summer. More than anything else, it's important for them from a physical standpoint. You're always in a right-handed stance, and it can create some issues with the hips and those things from what I've been told. And so really just balancing them up, playing on both sides, those types of things within their training. So Sure, absolutely. We haven't done that much this spring, and it's just been because where things have fallen at this point.
So what's been for you just being you, other than learning everybody's names and getting to know them? Like, what's been the biggest challenge as you try to incorporate what you want with what's here and all that? What's the biggest challenge?
I think the biggest challenge for me on any time I'm stepping into a place where there's not a new offensive coordinator, where there's not a big change going on, because of my experience as a coordinator. I really, try to grasp, okay, what are we really trying to do before I start saying, hey, let's change X, Y, Z. A lot of that is just, you coordinate for 9 to 10 years. You kind of respect the spot because, it is tiring. It is hard to be a coordinator, especially in this day and age with, the variety of defenses and all those things. So, the first, probably the biggest challenge, and it hasn't been a negative by no means, but just coming in and, hey, why do we call it this? Why do we do those things? And I'm not questioning. I'm just, how do we put this into terms so that as this thing grows, as we make adjustments, it can make sense to the young men that are already here, already playing within the system. Thing I don't want to do is slow down how fast we play. When the ball snaps, we need to know what we're doing, how we're doing it, and kind of be in a bad attitude about it as we come off the ball.
How do you work with the tight ends in terms of their blocking ability?
Sure.
That's what they want to do. If you're asking
Sure.
them to shoot, they want to be throwing to the tight end. Right,
Well,
Kevin?
Well, and unfortunate here, Brian Ross does an incredible job. So oftentimes he'll break up in the run blocking, just the way practice is structured. He's with the tackles and tight ends with Coach Munoz. And so that allows me to get some time with those interior guys. So to break things up. But George is great to work with. As I said, Bryant's off the charts. He's a superstar in this profession, and gonna have a bright career. He's really good, and so I think those tight ends are willing blockers. I think they're guys that have been youthful, and as they're learning the techniques that we're training, learning the techniques that we're doing, understanding the looks and when to apply the techniques that we're teaching, you're starting to see some big time gains out of them here. Frankly, honestly, the back end of this, this last week has been big strides by those guys, and it's going to be a good group, I believe.
So did you know Coach Ross before?
No, didn't know Coach Ross at all, and but I'm certainly glad that I do now. He's awesome. I've got a lot of mutual friends with Coach Munoz, so I feel like I've known him for years. We've kind of, he worked at Eastern Illinois right after I did, those types of things way back. We're old guys now.
So is it hard although Coach says y'all done a little bit of live stuff, quite a bit of live stuff, so judging the running backs and what you have and how they mesh with what you're doing and what y'all are teaching.
Yeah, I really would have a hard time speaking on their abilities as far as catching the ball. But as far as the type of runners, I think they're starting to understand. Shouldn't say starting. I think they're coming into their own as far as understanding where the blocks are being set up, understanding how to hit a crease. I think you're going to see a lot of growth out of that room. I think Coach Matt's doing a great job with those guys, and those guys are kind of growing up. You're just watching it. I mean, 20, 21, 7, not 7, yeah, 7, Bill. Those guys are you're seeing something out of them every week or every practice that you're like, oh, okay. This is going to be a good run with him in it. It's a type of run, if that makes sense.
So the in terms of the depth, it seems like there is a lot of depth on the line. And is that something y'all are, well, maybe he can be 9, he can be 10, or is it way too early?
Oh, I think it's a little early for that. I mean, we still got half a spring ball and fall camp to get through. But I think you are starting to see it take shape, if that makes sense. I don't think I'd hate to put a ceiling on anyone at this point, and I'd hate to anoint anybody at this point. But yeah, it's a good group that works. They've had a great culture here before I was here, and hopefully we can continue to carry that torch forward. Obviously, they've had some incredible players come through here. And as we all know, it's a wonderful place, and you get why people want to come to Lafayette. It's a great place to live, great place to go to school.
Does it impact you at all in what you do and the line does to have a veteran quarterback back?
Oh, sure. It allows you to be more creative with your run checks and all those things. Absolutely. Absolutely.
What is kind of your impression of how he's done things so far?
Oh, they've been spot on. They very rarely, you get some of the younger quarterbacks, they'll have issues, which is the same thing you can say about a younger O-lineman. But, those top couple guys are doing a really nice job of getting us in the correct run, getting us out of bad looks, those types of things. And they've been savvy back there.
So you've been around long enough to know where years ago when you first started, I don't know that they had passing game coordinators and run game coordinators. So what is the difference? But what does that really mean?
You're asking the wrong guy. I feel like as an O-line coach, you're in charge of the run game. I've got a run game title. Obviously, I think at the end of the day, Des is going to lean on me on run thoughts and run schemes and all those things. Des is really sharp in the run game himself. He does a great, he's not like some quarterback guys, and I'm not bad-mouthing quarterback guys, by no means. Some of my best friends are quarterback coaches across the country. But some guys aren't as invested in the run. Mike does a great job being invested in the run, and it shows on how he builds his team. I mean, we've got a physical football team, both sides of the ball. It's we're going to run the ball, we're going to stop the run mentality, and it's not lip service. It's not, just some, been around guys where they just say it and it's supposed to magically happen. Well, we're putting in the work to make sure that occurs.
When you saw him play, so he played that.
Sorry, sucker. Yes, I did. I had a front row seat against him. Great player. Oh, one of the fiercest competitors I'd ever coached against.